Today video session is Unit 3, the emergence of new kingdoms in South India, later Cholas and Pandyas. Okay, our objectives of learning is origin of later Cholas and the later Pandyas, to know about the prominent rulers of both the kingdoms, to acquaint with their administrative system, to understand the social, economic and cultural development during their reign. Okay, introduction. The Cholas are one among the popular and well-known Tamil monarchs in the history of South India. The elaborate state structure, irrigation network, the vast number of temples they built, their great contributions to art and architecture, and their overseas exploits have given them a preeminent position in history. A revival of the Chola rule. The ancient Chola kingdom reigned supreme with the Kaveri Delta forming the core area of its rule, and with Urayur, that is in present day Tiruchirappalli, as its capital. It rose to prominence during the reign of Karikala, but gradually declined under his successors. Vijayalaya Chola. Vijayalaya revived the Chola dynasty. He conquered Tanjavur and made it his capital. Later, Rajendra I and his successors ruled the empire. Gangaikonda Cholapuram, the newly built capital. Rajaraja I. He was the most powerful ruler of Chola Empire and also grew popular beyond his times. He established Chola authority over large part of South India. His much acclaimed naval expeditions led to the expansion of Cholas into the west coast and Sri Lanka. He built the famous Rajarajeshwaram, that is Bragadishwara temple in Tanjavur. His son and successor Rajendra Chola I matched his father in his ability to expand the empire. The empire remained a powerful force in South India during his reign. After his succession in AD 1023, his striking military expedition was to northern India, capturing much territory there. He proclaimed himself the Gangaikondan, that is conqueror of the Gangai region. The Gangaikonda Cholapuram temple was built to commemorate his victories. The navy of Rajendra Chola enabled him to conquer the kingdom of Sri Vijaya, is in southern Sumatra. Sri Vijaya Cholas. Chola's control over the seas facilitated a flourishing overseas trade. Decline. How is decline of the Chola Empire? With his death ended the Vijayalaya line of Chola rule. On hearing the death of Adi Rajendra, the eastern Chalukya prince Rajendra Chalukya seized the Chola throne and began the rule of Chalukya Chola dynasty as Klothunga I. Klothunga established himself firmly on the Chola throne, soon eliminating all the threats to the Chola Empire. He avoided unnecessary wars and earned the goodwill of his subjects. But Klothunga lost the territories in Ceylon. The Pandya territory also began to slip out of the Chola control. Kanjipuram was lost to the Telugu Cholas. The year 1279 marks the end of Chola dynasty, when King Maravarman Kulasegara Pandyan defeated the last king Rajendra Chola III and established the rule of the Pandyas in present day Tamil Nadu. Okay, we'll see about the Chola's administration. The central administration was in the hands of king. As the head of the state, the king enjoyed enormous powers. The king's orders were written down in palm leaves by his officials or inscribed on the temple walls. The kingship was hereditary in nature. The ruler selected his eldest son as the heir apparent. He was known as Yuvaraja. The Yuvarajas were appointed as governors in the provinces, mainly for administrative training. The Chola rulers established a well-organized system of administration. The empire, for administrative convenience, was divided into provinces or mandalam. Each mandalam was subdivided into nados. Within each nadu, there were many kurrams, that is a group of villages. The lowest unit was the grama. The lowest unit only the gram, that is village. Next of administration. Already we saw about that. Mandalams, nadus, kurrams, grama. Okay, local governance. Local administration worked through various bodies such as Urar, Sabayar, Nagaratar and Nattar. With the expansion of agriculture, numerous peasant settlements came upon the countryside. They were known as Ur. The Urar, who were landholders, acted as spokesmen in the Ur. Sabayar in Brahman village also functioned in carrying out administrative, financial and judicial functions. Nagaratar administrated the settlement of traders. However, skilled artisans like masons, blacksmiths, goldsmiths, weavers and potters also lived in Nagaram. Nattar functioned as an assembly of Nadu and decided all the disputes and issues pertaining to Nadu. Functions. The assemblies in Ur, Sabha, Nagaram and Nadu worked through various committees. The committees took care of irrigation, roads, temples, gardens, collection of revenue and conduct of religious festivals. Uttaramerur inscriptions in Kanchipuram district. Uttaramerur, presently in Kanchipuram district, was a Brahmadeya village, that is land grants given to Brahmins. There is a detailed description of how members were elected to the committees to the village sabha in the inscriptions found there. One member was to be elected from each ward. There were 30 wards in total. The eligibility to contest was to men in the age group of 35 to 70, well versed in Vedic texts and scriptures, and also owned land and house. The process of election was as follows. The names of qualified candidates from each ward were written on the palm leaf slip and put into a pot. You can see in the picture. The eldest of assembly would engage a boy to pull out one slip and declare his name. Various committees were decided in this way only. Next one, revenue. The revenue mainly from the land. The land tax was known as Kanikadam. The Chola rulers carried out an elaborate survey of land in order to fix the government's share of the land revenue. 1/3 of produce was collected as land tax. It was collected mostly in kind. In addition to land tax, there were taxes on profession and tolls on trade. Social structure based on land relations. The Chola rulers gifted tax-free lands to royal officials, Brahmins, temples and religious institutions. Land granted to Jain institutions was called Pallichandam. There were also of Velanvagai land, and the holders of this land were called Vellalas. Ulukudi, a subsection of Velalar. Next, Cholas gave importance to irrigation. Long embankment built by Rajendra Chola in Gangaikonda Cholapuram is an illustrious example. Vatti Vaikal, a crisis cross channel, is a traditional type of harnessing rainwater in the Kaveri Delta. Vatti is a drainage channel and Vaikal is the supply channel. The commonly owned village was called Urvaikal. The Nadu level Vaikal is referred to as Nadu Vaikal. The turn system was in practice in distributing the water. Next one, religion. Chola rulers were ardent Saivites, hymns in praise of the deeds of Lord Shiva were composed by the Saiva saints. The Nayanmas, Nambi under Nambi, codified them, which came to be known as the Thiru. Next one is temples. The Chola period witnessed and extensive constructions of temples. The temples in Tanjavur, Gangaikonda Cholapuram and Dharasuram are the repository of architecture, sculpture, paintings and iconography of the Chola art. Temples promoted for education, dance, music and drama. The staff of the temples included temple officials, dancing girls, musicians, singers, players of musical instruments and the priests. Cholas as patrons of learning. Chola king were great patrons of learning. Rajendra I established a Vedic college at Yennayiram, that is now in Viluppuram district. There were 340 students learning the Vedas, grammar and Upanishads under 14 teachers. This example was later followed by his successors, and as a result 2 more such colleges had been founded at Tirubhuvanai near present day Puducherry and Tirumukkudal in present day Chengalpattu district in 1048 and 1067 respectively. The great literary works Periyabranam and Kambaramayanam belong to this period. How was the trade in that time? There was a flourishing trade during the Chola period. Trade was carried out by 2 guild groups, Anju Vannathar and Mani Gramattar. Anju Vannathar comprised West Asians, Arabs, Jews, Christians and Muslims. Mani Gramattar were the traders engaged in inland trade. In due course, both groups merged under the banner of Ein Natruvar and Disai Ayirathu Natruvar, functioning through the head guild in Ayavol, Karnataka. This Ai Natruvar guild operated the maritime trade covering Southeast Asian countries. Though overseas trade with Southeast Asian countries, elephant tusks, coral, transparent glass, betel nuts, cardamom, cotton stuff with colored silk thread were imported. Exported things, the items exported from here were sandalwood, ebony, condiments, precious gems, pepper, oil, paddy, grains and salt. Okay, the finished Chola period. We will see about the later Pandyas. Okay, Pandyas were one of the 3 ancient Tamil dynasties that ruled southern India since the 4th century BC, but intermittently Korkai associated with the pearl fisheries is believed to have been their early capital and port. They moved to Madurai later. Under the Pandya kings of the Sangam age, Madurai was a great center of culture. Poets and writers of Tamil language gathered there and contributed to development of Tamil classics also. The Pandyas had re-established their strong position in South Tamil Nadu by the end of the 6th century AD, after eliminating the rule of Kalabras. But they could not resist the rising power of the later Cholas, who ruled South India from 9th to 13th century. Thereafter, taking advantages of the decline of Chola power, the later Pandyas re-established their authority. Their rule continued until 16th century. Okay, Gangaikonda Kadunkan recovered Pandya territory from the Kalabras towards the close of 6th century. He was succeeded by two others. Arikesari Maravarman was the first strong Pandya ruler who ascended the throne in AD 642. He was a contemporary of Mahendravarman I and Narasimhavarman I. Arikesari Maravarman is identified with the Kun Pandyan, the persecutor of Jains. After Arikesari, the greatest of the dynasty was Jatila Parantaka Nedinchadayan. It is Varaguna I, the donor of the Velvikudi plains. Nedinchadayan expanded the Pandya territory to include Tanjavur, Tiruchirappalli, Salem and Coimbatore districts. Nedinchadayan's successors Sri Mara, Sri Vallabha and Varaguna II. Later, they could not face the rising Chola dynasty under Parantaka I. Parantaka I defeated the Pandya king Rajasimha II. Thus, ended the Pandya rule revived by Kadungan. Okay. Rise of the Pandya, later Pandyas. The Chola viceroyalty became weak in Pandya country after the death of Adi Rajendra. He is the last king of Vijayalaya line. Eventually, the Pandya kingdom could emerge as the only leading Tamil dynasty in the 13th century. Madurai continued their capital. Now, Koyal was their great port. Marco Polo, a famous traveler from Venice, visited Koyal twice in 1288 and 1293. He tells us that this port town was full of ships from Arabia and China and bustling with business activities. Marco Polo hailed the Pandyan kingdoms as the richest and the most splendid in the world. He added it produced most of the gems and pearls that are found in the world. In his travel account, he recorded the incidents of Sati and the polygamy practiced by the kings. Okay, next one, Sadayavarman Sundarabandyan. The illustrious ruler of the second Pandya kingdom was Sadayavarman. He is known as Jadavarman. Sadayavarman Sundarabandyan 1251-1268 he ruled. He brought the entire Tamil Nadu under his rule, which extended up to Nellore in Andhra. The Chera ruler, the chief of Malanadu, accepted his feudatory position and paid tribute to Chandrapandian. In a war at Kannanur, Chandrapandian defeated Someswara. Sundarabandyan succeeded in establishing his authority over the chieftains of Kadalur, Kanjipuram in northern Tamil Nadu, Arcot and Salem in the western region. After Sundarabandyan, Maravarman Kulasegaran ruled successfully for a period of 40 years, giving the country peace and prosperity. He had two sons. The king's appointment of Veerapandiyan as a co-regent provoked the other son Sundarabandyan, who killed his father Maravarman Kulasegaran. In the civil war, Veerapandiyan won and became firmly established in his kingdom. The defeated Chandrapandian fled to Delhi and took refuge under the protection of Alauddin Khalji. This provided the opening for the invasion of Malik Kafur. After Malik Kafur's invasion, the Pandyan kingdom came to be divided among a number of kings from the main ruling Pandya's family. In Madurai, a Muslim state subordinate to the Delhi Sultan came to be established. Okay, of the state. Pandya kings preferred Madurai as their capital. Madurai has been popularly venerated as Koodal. The kings are revered as Koodal Kon, Koodal Kavalan. The Pandyas derived military advantages over their neighbors by means of their horses. They imported these horses through Arabs with whom they had commercial and cultural contact. The king, ruling according to Manu Sastra, Kings and local chiefs created Brahmin settlements called Mangalam or Chaturvedalam, the irrigation facilities. The actual land owning groups are described as the Bhumiputrar, otherwise called the Vellalar. Historically, they were locals and hence they were referred to as Nattu Makkal. The communal assembly of this group is Chitrameli Perinattar. Okay, band of officials executed the royal orders. The prime minister was Uttara Mandri. The historical personalities like Manikavasagar, Kulachi Rayar and Marankari worked as ministers. The royal secretariat was known as Eluthu Mandabam. The most respected officials were Maran Yeinan, Satan Ganapati, Yenadi Satan, Tiratiran, Murthy Yeinan and others. The titles of military commanders were Pallivelan, Prantakan Pallivelan, Maran Adithan and Tennavan Tamilvel. Okay, now we will see about the Pandya's administrative divisions. Pandya Nadu as in Chola state consisted of many provisions known as Valanadus, which in turn were divided into many Nadus and Kurams. The administrative authorities of Nadus were the Natas. Nadu and Kuram contained settlement ways. Mangalam, Nagaram, Ur and Kudi were the different social groups inhabited. First one we'll see about village administration. An inscription from Manur, that is in Tirunelveli district, dated AD 800 provides an account of village administration. It looks similar to Chola's local governance that included village assemblies and committees. Both civil and military power seem to have been vested in the same person. Irrigation. The Pandya rulers created a number of irrigation sources on either side of the rivers Vaigai and Tamrabarani. Channels leading to the irrigation tanks were built. In southern Tamil Nadu, like Cholas, Pandyas introduced the new irrigation technology. Irrigation works were done by local administrative bodies, local chiefs and officials. Religion. Pandyas extended patronage to Vedic practices. Velvikudi copper plates as well as inscriptional sources mention the rituals like Aswamedha Yaga, Hiranya Garbha and Vajapaya Yaga conducted by every great Pandya king. The impartiality of rulers towards both Saivism and Vaishnavism is also made known in the invocatory portions of the inscriptions. The great Saiva and Vaishnavas saints, Nayanmas and Alvas, that is, combined contributed to the growth of Tamil literature and spiritual enlightenment. The period was marked by religious conflict. The Pandya kings of the period supported and promoted Tamil and Sanskrit. Temples. Medieval Pandyas and Pandyas did not build any new temples but maintained the existing temples, enlarging them with the addition of gopuras and mandabas. The monolithic mega-size ornamented pillars are the unique features of the medieval Pandya style. Pandyas especially patronized the historic Meenakshi temple at Madurai and kept expanding its premises by adding gopuras and mandabas. Arab settlements on the west coast of southern India had led to the expansion of their trade connection to the east coast because the governments of the east coast pursued a more liberal and enlightened policy towards overseas traders. In Koyal, there was an agency established by an Arab chieftain by name Malikul Islam Jamaluddin. This agency facilitated availability of horses to Pandya kings. In 13th and 14th century, horse trade became brisk. Marco Polo and Wasp state that the kings invested in horses as there was and was for ceremonial purposes as well as for fighting wars. Those who were trading in horses were called Kudirai Chettis. The busiest port town under the Pandyas was Kayalpatnam. Then now in that place now in Thoothukudi district on the east coast. Gold coins were in circulation as the trade was carried through the medium of gold. It was variously called Kasu, Kalanchu and Pun. Just we recall it. The Cholas and Pandyas are well-known Tamil monarchs. Vijayalaya revived the Chola dynasty. The prominent Chola rulers are Rajendra I and Rajaraja I and Rajendra I. Uttarameru inscriptions provide details of village administration. Kodunkon recovered Pandya territory from Kalabras. Harikesri Maravarman and Parantaka Nedinjadayan were his two prominent successors. The illustrious rulers of later Pandya kingdom were Sadayavarman Sundarabandyan and Maravarman Kulasegaran. Maritime trade during Pandya is highlighted by Marco Polo and Wasaf. Thank you, ma. Take care.